There's nothing quite like the feeling of catching a wave all the way into the shore. But how are those waves actually made? We're here with professional surfer Paige. Who's gonna tell us all about how waves are made. But first, Paige, what makes a wave great for surfing?
There's a few things that makes a wave really great for surfing. One is good swell coming in from the ocean. Second is a nice sandbank, so when that swell hits the sandbank, it peels off beautifully. And of course, an offshore wind, and it pushes the wave back, creating a curl. It's epic!
So that's the waves that are best for surfing. But how are waves actually made? In waves, energy is transferred through the vibration of particles. They vibrate in a perpendicular fashion with respect to the direction of the wave itself. Picture a buoy. Buoy, is that the right way to say it?
Buoy.
They vibrate up and down, but never moving in the exact direction of the wave. So the energy is transferred through the particles, even though the position of those particles never changes. One example is a Mexican wave. As a wave comes through and picks up different water particles, they move up or down as the energy transfers through them. As they go up and get more potential energy, they lose some kinetic energy as they slow down. You can think of it like a pendulum going back and forth, going from kinetic energy to potential energy. You got all that, Paige?
I got it. You got energy, vibration, particles, and kinetic energy.
She got it.
I got it.
There are three basic types of waves. Number one is the wind-driven or surface waves. Surface waves are when energy passes through the water and you get a resultant circular wave on the top. Simply put, wind-driven waves are ones created from friction on the top of the water and the surface of the water itself. Storm surges and tsunamis are the second kind of wave. They are created by deep water disturbances, create long waves that can travel inland, and they can become very dangerous, as you can see. Danger.
Danger, danger, danger.
Tidal waves are caused by gravitational pulls in the sun and moon on the earth itself.
Do you want some?
No.
You sure?
No, I don't want it.
So greeny.
No,
Greeny.
we're doing science.
We're doing science.
So now that we've got waves covered, let's try and get to the bottom of how surfers actually surf on those waves. To understand the science of surfing, we need to understand the science of waves. As the waves come in, they bring with them kinetic energy. The surfers have to bring their own kinetic energy, so there's not much difference between their momentum. That's why surfers paddle, so they can get their speed up, and then when the wave hits them, they can get their own speed, and there's not a discontinuity in speeds. That is the technical answer. Can you actually explain to us how surfing really works?
Surfing works through buoyancy, balance, and gravity.
Okay, can we see that in action?
For sure, man. You need the buoyancy of your board to keep you up on the wave, and then you can flow across the wave nice and cruisy. Then you have gravity. Gravity keeps you and the board above the wave. Then you have balance. It can be tricky to try to balance under H2O molecules moving really fast. You need to learn how to be at one with your board and how to center your gravity.
So if these guys want to surf, or get better at surfing, what advice do you have for them?
Learn the science behind the ocean and the waves. Practice lots and always go surfing with good company.
Me?
Yeah.
You want to go try?
Let's go.
Let's go.
Okay, ocean it's this way. Yeah, that way, that's the way.
It turns out surfing's a lot harder than it looks, so I'll just leave it to the professionals. All right, Paige.
There are so many different types of waves I never realised. Other than waving, there's also micro, radio, ocean and sound waves. Some of them you can see and some of them you can't. My kind of waving you can definitely see. It's hard not to. I'm a big fan of the theatrical wave.
The tallest wave ever recorded was in Alaska in the United States in 1958. It was over 30 meters tall. Now the waves in this pool only get to about 2 meters tall. But can you imagine a 30-meter wave coming at you? That's like as tall as those water slides. We're ready for the waves, please. Are just energy moving through water. So they're created by wind creating friction between the air and the surface. This generates energy, and that energy is transferred from molecule to molecule, creating a wave. Waves have two different parts. They have a crest and a trough. So the crest is the top part of the wave, and the trough is the opposite. It's the bottom part of the wave. We already know that there are different kinds of waves. We learned that from Paige and Nate. This wave pool works in a very different way. And it has a couple advantages over natural waves. It's more predictable, it's more consistent, and it always produces waves. But they work in different ways. The smallest wave pools will use an air pump to shoot air over the surface of the water, generating small waves. If you want bigger waves, you might use a machine to dump a lot of water into the deep end. Then by the time the surge reaches the shallow end, it's unstable, and that makes really big waves. But if you want the most massive waves, like the waves that you use for surfing, you might use an underwater sledge. This moves up and down on a track and displaces the water on either side of it, generating the massive wave. So we've got Jerome here, who actually works for the park, and he's going to tell us a little bit more about the wave pool. So how does the wave pool work?
The wave pool's got massive big blowers that create heaps of pressurised air in there, and then the air is pushed down and then therefore makes the wave. Depending upon the timing of the pressurised air in there, changes the direction of the wave, so it can have a left break, a right break, and also adjust the size of them as well.
So what's the biggest wave you guys can make?
In surfers' terms, it's probably only a couple of feet, but it's big enough to surf. You can actually surf the waves.
So, like, how many waves can you make, like, per minute? Like, is it constant, really, really fast, or is it a bit more relaxed?
Yeah, we like to run them pretty constantly. People have a good time out there with the more waves that there are. So one thing we do, but is give them a rest every 10 minutes or so people catch their breath and don't get so worn out.
So how are the waves here different from the waves, like, in the surf?
They break a little bit differently to a normal wave. That's probably the biggest thing, is just the shape of the wave changes a little bit, but a lot of people wouldn't notice.
How powerful are these waves? If I wanted to, could I surf on one?
Yeah, you could definitely surf. You'd want a longboard, you wouldn't want a shortboard out there, but yeah, we've had people surf waves out there before, definitely.
Well, thank you so much for speaking with us, Jerome.
Not a problem. Enjoy the wave pool.
Something to know about me is that I love lunch and breakfast and dinner for that matter, and all the snacks in between. Anyway, I love food, but I also love swimming, and apparently the two don't really mix. Nom 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 nom. Told not to go swimming straight after eating, where apparently you're at risk of getting really bad cramps if you don't wait for your food to digest. The theory is digestion demands more blood from the body, which means there's less blood to go around and can cause cramps in your muscles, which can make swimming harder. reality, the body does have enough blood to go around, regardless what is happening, so you don't need to panic. If you do get a cramp while swimming, you should just relax and signal for someone to help you. It's probably best to avoid going for a fast-paced or intense swim right after a big meal. It can make you feel a bit sick in the stomach and you might even vomit. Gross. Okay, so it's been a while since I last ate, so I'm ready for some intense swimming. Hey guys, wait up! Don't have too much fun without me.
I'm Hayden Cox and I'm a surfboard shaper, and this is the art of building a surfboard. First of all, we start off with a lightweight piece of foam and we take the shape out of this. So we're going to go downstairs and template it out and shape the foam. In today's world of building surfboards, we use a CNC machine which is operated by a computer. And then we go cut it on a 3-axis CNC machine, which does all the grunt work for you. It removes all the foam and then you finish the board off by hand. Okay, so enter into the shaping bay. 3 main parts: outline, rocker, and then the rails. We're going to mark the outline of the surfboard, which is the plan shape, the rails of the board. Put a template on there, mark that out, and then cut it out with a saw. We're going to then focus on the rocker, which is the side profile of the board from the nose to the tail, which is the part that surfs in the face of the waves. After that, we're going to start to create the thickness of the board from the nose and go all the way to the tail to create a nice, clean shape. As you can see, we've sanded the board and refined it so it's got a really nice, smooth finish. I always approach building surfboards with performance at top of mind. It always comes down to the functionality and how that board feels under your feet. The aesthetics and the design and how it looks is secondary to the function. The black rails that you see with the carbon fibre, it's there because it makes you go faster on a wave. It does look cool and it does frame out the surfboard, but it was there for the function first. In today's landscape making surfboards, the surfers out there are really interested in technology, different materials, and different methods of how you've built your board. Today, it's easier to tell someone about a different design or a different construction of how you've built the board, and they're more accepting of wanting to go out and ride it. It's modern materials, it's modern manufacturing techniques, but we still do that in a very simplistic way, in a traditional method of building a surfboard. I feel that surfboards have a long way to go in terms of the materials that we're going to use, as well as the manufacturing techniques. And we're going to be able to build more consistent boards in a faster turnaround time. We'll be able to design them so they're more durable. You might even be able to digitally print your own board one day. So there's lots of different technologies out there. I think you've got to get used to making mistakes, because it's through mistakes that you learn. From the first board that I ever built, I only got shown how to build half the board. I had to build the other side of the board. So from there, for the last 20 years, I've been learning by myself and making mistakes every single day. It's part of the process of learning, and you've got to enjoy your mistakes. I take that as an opportunity to learn and to build the next board better. A piece of advice that someone could have given me was encourage me to stay on my own path, to learn for myself, and after 15, 20, 30, 40 years, I was going to get better and better at it. I've always just tried to have the confidence to stick at what I'm doing, and I think that's really important. Be confident with what you do and be true to what you love about what you do, and then that will shine through in your work.
I'm trying to find some friends to do a proper Mexican wave with. Maybe if I try waving with one arm at a time. It doesn't really have the same effect though.
What is the white bubbly stuff on waves?
That's a great question. So I'm here on Moreton Island in a particularly foamy part.
Where there's a lot of white caps.
Crashing. Whoa, look at that. They're crashing right over the rocks.
Pouring these beautiful white caps into the pool behind me and glistening in the sunshine.
So these bubbles are made of air. When you think about bubbles, they're transparent. They're completely made of air with a thin layer of water around them.
But there's heaps and heaps of bubbles in these white caps.
And these bubbles are grouped super tight together on these waves, and the light bounces off these bubbles, it reflects back into our eyes, and it appears brighter and lighter than the rest of the water. So exactly the same thing happens in the bubbles in your fizzy drink. The colour of the liquid may not be white, but once it's bubbling and the light bounces off these tiny bubbles, it appears light and bright just like it is here. Seafoam is completely different to the white caps that you can see on these waves. There's two different types of seafoam, and it's classified by its colour. There's a white seafoam and a sort of reddy browny colour. The white seafoam is something completely different, and this is animal and human and plant waste that's all getting churned up in the ocean, and it gets dragged towards the shore by the currents in the sea. This white foam can be poisonous to both plants and animals, but luckily there's no seafoam here at all. It's just this beautiful white bubbly caps on these waves crashing. Look at that, it's incredible.